Okay, so back to you, over to you. The idea of plenary, this is a moment of plenary, is to get feedback from your discussions. I forgot to say, you know, whenever you're in breakout rooms, and I was kind of assuming that you were going to organize yourselves, but it's always a good thing to remind students to choose a spokesperson so that somebody can, you know, feedback and provide that brief conclusion or discussion of what people talked about in the groups. So it's a good practice to choose a spokesperson or two spokespersons if they want to do it, with the company of somebody else. If you didn't choose any, don't worry about that. It's just, it could be more personal about what you learned from the group discussion, from the readings. So back to you. Anyone wants to share anything about these two readings? You could use the chat box or unmute yourselves. It's important that the distance learners get a sense of what we discuss as a group, because they don't get the chance to meet synchronously a lot as you guys. So sometimes I like to give them a bit of a snapshot of what kind of things we discuss, and for that it's just a voice recording. So any comments on Joe et al. Or colleagues, Joe and colleagues reading about, how to begin your journey to create an online learning environment? And I have my notes there. So shall I go through my notes? Yeah, I can see some people nodding. Okay, so this reading does talk about the idea of students being active. It talks about the idea of engagement, so active engagement. It talks about, the idea that those students that are doing an online course have chosen to do this. Therefore, they are highly motivated. They're doing something that they want to do because of their own personal and professional purposes. So therefore, they have high levels of autonomy, ownership of their own learning. This is them taking control of what they really want to learn. And because of that, and that high level of motivation, then they do engage actively with the content materials of the course. They are engaging actively with their peers and their tutors. So it talks about those kind of relationships. It also mentions that, students need to have these self-regulation strategies to implement. So time management, for instance. I know some students have their own lives. They're also doing, other course units, especially full-time students. They're going through many other things in their own lives. And distance learners as well, apart from being students, they're probably parents. They're probably as well teaching or doing some kind of work that, keeps them busy all the time. So when you're engaging in online learning, it is important to plan the time, a day a week or a couple of hours a week, in which you dedicate that time to go through the materials, to engage with the online forums, to contact your peers, because you don't want to miss out. Again, self-directed learning is about what you do to make your own learning special for you. And if you don't do those things, you could just appear to do things and really miss out from everything from the experiential learning. So active engagement, and these are ideas that we have discussed previously in our week 1. So at this level of education, which is a master level, at a university level, the tutors of this unit, I can tell you that we assume that you are actively engaging with the materials, that we don't have to, tell you over and over again what you need to do. We do send reminders, which is something that I consider a good practice, to remind students, hey, remember to do these activities. But at the end of the day, it is about the student to be diligent and assign time, to create time, to engage with materials, peers, and so on. The idea of being comfortable with their interpersonal distance. So the idea that they are aware that in this course, in other online courses, there are students from different parts of the world, that, you know, if you are working suddenly with somebody in Taiwan, that you are aware of the time zone, that you can arrange a time to meet where it's convenient for everybody. So taking into account that, you know, those kind of relationships and needs that other people have, especially if you work in a group, in your study groups. In your study groups or in group meetings, in group work, it's important that you get to agreements, that you meet frequently, that you establish those connections, because it is you engaging with that community of students. Very important. As part of the online forums, for instance, the idea is that you are articulating your learning actively, telling us what you learn, engaging with other people, because some people think, okay, I've done my post, done my homework, and really, no. The idea is that you read, you go through what other people are saying, and that you engage in conversation. Online forums, online discussions are for you to get to know other people. For instance, those distance learners who might not be here present, those online forums are so important to them, because this is where they get to meet you, and you also get to meet them. So see how they think, and engaging in conversation. So it's not just about posting, it's about being curious, seeing how what people say is similar to what you think, and sometimes engaging in, you know, I disagree with you, why not? It is challenging each other, because it's a way of, you know, developing a reflective critical skills as well. Any other comments that I haven't mentioned in this reading that you thought, oh, I have something
I would
that
like to I would like
yes.
to talk a bit about the study groups. I'm not here to be the bad person, sorry. But I see maybe about 6, 7 students, they haven't signed up for the study group. And so it's really important for your study.
Oh
And
no, it's because the
y-
study groups, Yo-Yo, if you remember, I organize them.
yes,
And those people who haven't given me the details of their own details, I haven't been able to put them in the groups because they haven't answered. Is that what you're saying? That they haven't answered to the online form? But
yes, I would like to
yes, that's what
push
you're
a
saying.
bit. And I
Um,
also want to say, for those who already have a group, you can sign a group leader and get in touch with everyone. Not need just, I'm not saying just arrange a meeting immediately, but you can add some just add your social media accounts and get in touch with everyone. And you can
yes,
have a group in WhatsApp, WeChat, and which make you feel you are belong to our module, not just you are studying at home alone.
yes, that's correct. And that is going to be part of the homework. So thank you for reminding us of that. So those students who haven't filled in the form about the study group, I'm going to send a reminder today. I am aware that some people don't do this the first week because they're still waiting whether they want to stay in this course or take another course. So some students are still undecided. But if you're 100% decided, which is the case of those who have already been assigned, it is the case that you already have a group. But if you don't have a group, then you need to contact me, send me an email through Canvas or my usual email in Outlook. To tell me I haven't done the online form. Can you send me the link? Or you can do this yourself because everything is on Canvas. Yeah, so let's move on to the last bit because we have almost no time now. So from Strong and Hong's reading, we had a bit of a discussion there of what are the characteristics of successful tertiary online students, and what kind of strategies online educators experienced. Any comments on there?
I may actually. When
Yeah.
I first retake this course, I thought that probably you will transmit all the knowledge to me through online. Then I read the paper, was like, okay, I have lots of to do. So basically giving responsibility agency to students to how to say draw their path and through their the learning progress. So
Yes.
I thought that it is kind of different, that I get used to it. But I know I was also reflecting why I dropped off all the MOOCs in the middle. So then I
Yes.
saw, yeah, you have to take the whole responsibility, and
Yes. The idea
then you go
of taking control of your own learning. And
on.
one thing I could say is that I also teach face-to-face in other MA programs. So I'm part of the TESOL program, the DTC program, the Research Methods program, and the Intercultural Education program. So I teach online and I teach face-to-face, but the expectation I have as a tutor is the same. So I want students to take control of their learning. In every module, there are readings. In every module, there is information either on Blackboard or on Canvas that I expect students to, because they are adults, self-directed and organized, I expect them to be more active in all the, learning environments. But it is more emphasized in online learning because of that idea that traditionally in online learning, students really didn't have synchronous face-to-face interactions. It was all based on online forums and materials put in a learning management system as Canvas or Blackboard. And it was, if they had any synchronous interaction in Zoom or any other tools like Skype or Adobe Connect, they were very rare. So if we see the reference there, 2002, yes, the idea some students felt, oh, I have to do a lot of things because they were missing out that synchronous um, aspect of online learning. But things have changed, and we do offer these face-to-face interactions when we get the opportunity to talk to other people and feel that we're not just by ourselves. But this reading particularly talks about, 7 dimensions: access to tools, which is something somebody mentioned before, about making sure that you're familiar with the tools. Because if you're familiar with the tools, then your technology experience is much better than, oh, I don't know where to find things. Where is the link to the online session today? So the less you know about these tools, then it's just affecting, having an impact on that experience that is, well, your experience. Also, learning preferences, making sure that students know how they learn. So if you are a visual learner, are you creating mind maps, for instance, after you have engaged with readings in order to capture your own learning? Or, if you're more of an auditive person, what do you do to then remember what you read or keep track and document your learning as you engage with materials? So getting to know how you learn to help yourself organize your own learning experience better. Study habits as well. So if you know that you're not a morning person, then don't force yourself to read in the morning. If you are a night person, then you probably, you will assign a time that is suitable for your needs and your study skills and your study habits to make sure that you are engaging with materials productively, that you have a purpose of learning. So if you have joined the course, for instance, this week, and you missed out week 1, then that you say, okay, I'm going to dedicate my Saturday 4 hours to go through the things that I didn't do because I missed out. That you have a purpose in everything that you do. And that, again, that your lifestyle, your factors, that you have you create a balance. It's so easy to say, but it's also very difficult to do. especially if you have family here, you're working, if you have any other commitments, balancing every aspect it takes time, it takes planning, it takes organization skills, which, yeah, if you haven't really developed them, then it gets a bit challenging. But if you start, with one step at a time, and then you're helping yourself in the online process. But yes, you're right. There's a lot of self-directed learning, and the expectation, I would say, is the same for online courses and face-to-face courses. That's what I always tell my students. I hope you're reading. I hope, because if you don't ask me questions, then and I always ask questions about students. What do you learn about this reading? And I get really excited when people actually engage in that reading process. Now, one thing I think my students face-to-face miss out is online discussions, because you hear what people learn 1, 2, 3, and it's always the same people. But what about those who never shared? They don't get that online discussion, which we get. And I'm thinking, I can explore more in detail here. Yeah, so we have benefits and challenges in all kind of teaching approaches. But yes, so that's the summary of the reading that you engage with this week. Yes, go ahead.
I was comparing actual offline and online interaction. Even we had lectures 2 hours. It's very hard to connect there. Even you are around the people, it's very hard to connect with people here. After 2 hours, they leave the class and that's it. But I'm now comparing with online. We talk here, and when my in a group work breakout room, we were discussing when the class is small, it is better even, rather than having 100 people in a lecture room. It's better to have 15 people in online and to connect with them.
Yeah, connection. It's all about building that connection. And also in online, you again, as we create our profile, we put our picture, we know where to find people. And we see in the canvas how people, are developing as well. And we start connecting with others and how they think and how we think. And the information is there. So it never goes away. Whereas in face-to-face, it's like, I don't even know who was in my group. How do I contact these people? But yes, there are advantages and disadvantages, definitely. For homework, because I know I'm aware of time and we need to move on to the homework. So we have 3 bits of homework, which I'm also going to remind you by email. So forum 1.6, there's another forum, which is this one. I was going to take a screenshot. Let me just take a screenshot and make it clear. So part 1, forum 1.3. That's individual. Part 2, forum 1.6. Part 1 and part 2. Now, for those who work today as the groups, don't worry. It was a good experience. You get to interact with other people. But for part 3, I want you to contact your group, your study group members. And with the conversation that you had today, which is a way of, summarizing more of the learning of what other people thought of, get together and respond to this forum. Every forum, I think all of them are assigned for this week by Friday. So make sure that you get to do these bits, otherwise you're just dragging your own homework for the next week. So make sure you engage with these 3 forums. 2 are individual, 1 is as a group. And then for next week, please go through module 2, which is week 3. So go through the materials of module 2. And we have prepared a video called More Clicks and Fewer Bricks. This is an online debate about how people think about online learning. And there's people that are against, and there's people that are, very positive about it. So it's just to get to see other people, how other people perceive online learning. So more clicks is about, being on screen on the computer, or fewer bricks is not really going into an institution and having this education face-to-face. So let's see what people think. That is for you to watch in your own time. It takes an hour. You don't have to watch it all. You can skip through, through the video, skim through the video. But there's also an online forum for you to discuss this, and there's also a deadline there. But I think that's for week 3. So it's just to make sure that you're aware of what we're going to be covering next. And that's it. That's it from me. So you have some references in the Google Slides. You also have my notes now that I have discovered my secret. And I'll stop recording now and see if you guys have any questions about today's session.